Hi everybody, if you don't know me already, my name is Kaylee. I'm a gut health nutrition coach and I help people to overcome their chronic gut and digestive issues using the principles of ancestral nutrition as well as some other holistic health principles. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 4 foods or kind of food groups that you might be surprised you can eat while healing your gut. So there's a lot of focus on restriction, elimination diets, what you have to cut out in order to heal your gut. And while it is important that you do cut out some foods that are very harmful to your gut, there can become kind of an obsession with the cutting out aspect of a gut healing diet. But what you're eating is actually really important too. And I don't think it's healthy to be overly obsessed about all the foods you can't eat and actually having a large list of foods that you can't eat. Oftentimes when people get into these elimination diets or do food sensitivity tests and they think that they're sensitive to all these different foods, it's really just that they have gut issues, so they're reacting to a lot of foods. And the foods you need to cut out are going to be the ones that are actually damaging your gut, not necessarily every food you have a little reaction to. And when you cut out those foods that are actually damaging your gut and then also include a bunch of foods that will nourish and heal your gut, then you'll be able to heal without having to cut out a lot of foods. I have a client, Alana, and she had bad gut issues for 10 years. And at one point she said she was cutting out like 50 foods after doing one of those food sensitivity tests, and it still wasn't working. And when I worked with her, we did not cut very much out. It was only a few things. And anyway, she healed in 3 months. She got completely over all her gut issues. If you want to hear more about her story, I'll link it up above. She did an interview with me. But my point here is there's so much focus on you need to cut out all these different foods that I wanted to bring something a little different to the table with this video and instead tell you some foods, or these are a little bit more like food categories. Sorry, I'm waving my hand because there's like a bunch of flies out today. But anyways, so I'm going to talk about these food categories that you can reincorporate into your diet likely if you're dealing with gut issues. So if you feel like, oh my God, so many foods are off the table, can I just eat something else? Can I add a little bit more variation to my diet? Hopefully this video will give you some ideas of foods you can bring back in that won't interfere with your gut healing at all. So yeah, before I get too far into this video, I do want to let you guys know I have a couple of spaces open in my program, Ancestral Gut Healing, right now. So if you're looking to heal your gut issues at the root so you can be symptom-free or near symptom-free in 3 months from now, then my program is likely a great fit for you. So I'll talk a little bit more about it at the end of this video if you want to hear more. But anyway, back to today's video. So the first food is going to be quality dairy. Now, this isn't for everyone. Not everyone's ready for it. So if you're like, there's no way I can have dairy, maybe you're someone who can't yet. But a lot of people can have dairy, no problem, while they're healing their gut. So this is one of those foods where it's like everyone says you have to cut out gluten and you have to cut out dairy to heal your gut. And while a lot of people do benefit a lot from cutting out gluten, and some people benefit from cutting out dairy, a lot of people are just fine. So I would say, I don't know, roughly 50-50, probably not exactly, of my clients don't have dairy right away or versus do have dairy the entire time they're healing their gut. And the majority of ones who don't have dairy right away are eating dairy just fine in 2 or 3 months when they're healed. So you might be able to tolerate dairy just fine. I never cut out dairy in my gut healing journey. I did cut dairy out at one point when I was vegan, and that's when my gut issues were at their absolute worst. So you can, it's not necessary to cut it out for everyone. Now, I do want to emphasize I said quality dairy, not just any dairy. So a lot of people tolerate raw dairy much, much better. So if you're a little iffy on the dairy, not sure if it'll work, there's some things you can do. So raw dairy is going to be the best. Whole milk always. You don't want non-fat, low-fat, nothing like that. If you can get non-homogenized, no antibiotics, no hormones, grass-fed, all that good stuff, that's ideal. So that's going to be your best bet. And then also, different dairy is easier or harder to tolerate. So fermented dairy is always going to be a little easier. Raw dairy is always going to be easier. And then things like butter or aged cheeses that have less lactose in them will also be easier to tolerate. So if you're a little unsure, oh, and ghee is going to be really easy too. If you're a little unsure, start with something like that, start small, and then start incorporating it. But a lot of people can just eat dairy, no problem with their gut issues. So don't just cut it out because you're told to cut it out, because you might be cutting out a really nourishing, delicious food group that you don't have to. Okay. Okay. Number 2, all the meat and animal foods you want. So seriously, meat, animal foods are so good for you. So eat as much of them as you want, whatever ones you want. Obviously there's a few exceptions of some people that don't do well with certain things, but the majority of people are going to be just fine eating literally like any meat, any eggs. Some people don't do well with eggs, but most people do well with eggs. Yeah, fish, seafood, anything like that. Most people will do great with any of them. So really, when it comes to animal foods, pretty much everything is on the table, and there are so many options. I mean, yes, there's steak and there's chicken, but there's lamb and there's pork chops and there's bacon and sausages and chuck roast and so many different things. So if you're feeling like, hey, I don't have a lot of options, start thinking of all the different kinds of meats and dishes like that you like, and you'll start to have a lot more variety, or feel like you have a lot more variety. Oh, and I want to note too here, the quality obviously matters. So you want the best quality meats and animal products that you can get. That will absolutely affect how it affects your body. And also, some people have said, I don't tolerate meat well, it feels heavy to me. If you're feeling that way, it is almost always from low stomach acid. So if your stomach acid is too low, your body's going to have a hard time breaking down the meat. So if that's the case, you want to work on increasing your stomach acid, and then you'll be able to tolerate the meat well. Another thing is you might be stressed and just not really up for eating much of anything. Your digestion could be a little weak, but yeah, so just wanted to address that, but eat all the meat you want, really. Okay, so 3 is many of those high FODMAP foods. So if you're not familiar with FODMAPs, it is fermentable, what is it? Fermentable monosaccharides and polyols. So yes, that's a little confusing. You can look up exactly what it is if you want, but pretty much this is a diet where they take more of the chemical construction of foods and give these big categories of which ones are high in different ones. So like disaccharides is going to be a lot of dairy, for example. And basically, yeah, they take these categories that can be fermented more by your gut, and then you get these long lists of so many different foods, and it's insanely complicated. So I most definitely do not have this memorized at all because it's just so complicated. But anyway, in this, there's a bunch of different food groups, and then basically you're supposed to cut all of them out and then like introduce like one at a time and see how you react to it, and then come up with your own list in here of which ones you react to the most. But so many of these foods are just healthy foods that it really doesn't make any sense to me that your body wouldn't be handling it well. So some of these foods are things like garlic or onions or apples or berries, or yeah, what else do they have here? Mushrooms, leeks, asparagus, honey, apple juice, orange juice. A lot of these things are really low anti-nutrient, good foods to eat. So I personally just think the whole FODMAP thing is overly complicated and just not really necessary, and I don't think it's very helpful for healing. If it works great for you, you know, all the power to you, go for it, do it. But yeah, personally, I feel like it's just not the best approach. Yeah, and there's a lot of foods on that list that I think are really healthy, so you might end up accidentally just cutting out so many foods and feeling really restricted when you really don't have to. And like apples is one of these on here. One of my clients, Peter, he would have like 6 cups of stewed apples a day, and he loved that, and it worked so well for him, and that helped him with his constipation. Obviously we worked on the root cause and so many other things, but it helped him. It worked well for him, and he was having 2 bowel movements a week in 6 weeks of working together after being constipated for like 3 or 5 years. I forget exact dates, but anyway, like, his gut inflammation went down. He started feeling better, and he was still eating apples. Like, you know, it's not that big of a deal of food. So anyway, yeah, let's see. I just think that that's not my favorite approach, and instead I go with like a low anti-nutrient approach, because it just makes so much more sense to me how like lectins and different anti-nutrients impact your gut. Lectins can cause leaky gut. They can, yeah, I have a whole video on that. So if you want to learn more about anti-nutrients, I'll link that video up above. But also, when you think of low anti-nutrient, that just means nuts, seeds, legumes, and grains. And then properly preparing them if you're going to eat them. Like, that's so much easier to remember, and that's what our ancestors did, and it worked really well for them. But anyway, if you want to learn more about that, just check out the anti-nutrient video. But I find that a lot simpler and makes so much more sense for what foods to, you know, kind of back off of and not have too much. But anyway, let's talk about food number 4. Okay, so this is dessert. And obviously I don't mean all dessert. There's a lot of crappy desserts out there that are horrible for you. But sometimes when we think of being healthy, we think we never get any kind of treat food or something sweeter that's nice, or just to have a dessert time. So I just wanted to share that you can still have a healthy dessert. I have dessert every night, but it's a really healthy, nutritious, nourishing dessert. So what I have is I make these little chocolate treats. I use 100% cacao in them. I just don't like things very sweet. You can add a little honey, or, you know, get 80% cacao or something like that if you like. I'll have dates with butter in them. I'll have raw milk, and then I'll have fruit and tea. So I love this. It's my favorite dessert. If I make something else like apple crisp or pumpkin pie or something, I actually miss this dessert because it's my favorite. But anyway, you can make homemade ice cream, you can make pumpkin pie, you can make apple crisp, you can make so many different things. And you can really make them out of quality foods that actually have nutrients in them. I mean, cream and egg yolks, which is what you make ice cream out of, is really, really nutritious, as long as it's good quality and you're not putting tons of sugar in there. If you want a tiny bit of honey or sugar to sweeten it up, like, you know, go for it. That's not that bad. But yeah, so a lot of desserts can actually be made healthier and more nourishing. Yeah, so you don't have to cut out dessert completely. While most desserts are going to be pretty bad for you and you shouldn't eat, you can still have that nice time. And I really enjoy that. I like at the end of the day being able to have that little, like, you know, sweeter, nice little treat after dinner. That makes me happy. And I eat one that's actually really nourishing. So yeah, you can still have some dessert. Let's see, what else do I have here? Okay. So everyone's different. Some of these foods I mentioned, you might be like, hey, there's no way I can have that. And if that is how you're at right now, no worries. Everybody is different. Everyone tolerates slightly different foods. This is more about giving you ideas of foods that are so commonly said, like, do not have this if you have gut issues, where that's not necessarily true, and some people will be able to tolerate them fine. So if you're kind of like, I don't know if I can tolerate very many of these, just keep working on your gut healing. You'll get there. You'll be able to tolerate them. But honestly, a lot of them you probably can tolerate right now, which is pretty exciting. So anyway, I hope this video gave you some good ideas of what you could start to incorporate in your diet. And then if you want some more like gut healing diet videos, and you want to hear more about what foods to include, you know, what are kind of my main gut healing diet tips, then I'll link a playlist I have up above of like all my gut healing diet videos. So I think that'd be helpful for you. And then yeah, like I mentioned at the beginning, I do have some space open in my program right now. So my program is called Ancestral Gut Healing. And basically in it, I help you to get to the root cause of your specific gut issues. And then I give you a roadmap to heal your gut issues at the root so you can be symptom free. And a lot of my clients are symptom free in 3 months. So that is a pretty reasonable goal. Everyone's a little different, but it does happen pretty quick. So anyway, I provide guidance for you on your diet, on your lifestyle, how to heal leaky gut, how to heal gut dysbiosis, how to get your digestive system working well, how to manage stress. And I really just provide all the resources you need to fully heal your gut. And then you get that guidance along the way. So as you're wondering things, as you're navigating different situations, you get to come to me and, get my advice, get feedback, get ideas, and just have more clarity and confidence going through this gut healing process. So if you're currently dealing with gut and digestive issues and you want to overcome your symptoms and you want help getting there quickly, then you can go ahead and book a call with me. I'll leave the link down below. This is a free call just to get to know each other and so that you can learn more about what I offer with my program. I can share more about how specifically I can help you because everyone's a little different. So what I do for clients that are constipated or have diarrhea or have ulcerative colitis or have an autoimmune disease is going to look slightly different. So if you want to hear more specifically how I can help you with your issues, everything that's included in the program and all that kind of stuff, then definitely book a call with me. I'd love to talk with you. I love talking with you guys, hearing about your journeys and helping you. So yeah, I hope to talk to you soon if that's you. And yeah, thank you for watching the video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, if you want to like it, comment, share it with someone you know, all of that helps me out a lot. And you can always subscribe if you want to hear more videos about gut health and nutrition. So yeah, have a great day. Thank you for watching.